Welcome back to Sacred Success Salon, where we are speaking with amazing experts about how to lead and thrive right now while being on purpose. My name is Anna Kowalska. I am your host. And today I am so delighted and really looking forward to what we're about to experience with our guest, Star Wolf. Welcome, Star Wolf, to the salon.
Hmm. Thank you. I'm excited too.
I
It's
am
great to be here.
so good to have you. I'm so excited. Let me just say a couple words about who you are, and you guys can read the beautiful bio about who Star Wolf is right below this video. You can see her beautiful picture in a bio. But let me just give you a few words. Star Wolf, PhD. This is amazing because you trained in, and I want to hear about that too. You trained in academia, but also the work you do is just so the other spectrum, which I love. She has been a shamanic visionary teacher and guide to thousands of people over the last 4 decades, starting out as a therapist. Well, there you go. In the mental health and addiction fields, she's nationally certified as an alcohol and drug counselor. It's so powerful and draws much of her wisdom from personal experience of recovery discovery from addictions. Mm. And now doing tremendous, beautiful work as a shamanic healer, and I am just so excited. So I'm just going to open the space for you because I love where you're taking us right away.
Thank you, Anna. And I just want to acknowledge you too. And as I said before, I really sense the power of the work that you're doing right now. So thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share more.
Mhm.
So my life is a walking prayer and a living prayer and a breathing prayer. And each day that is involves ceremony.
Mm.
So I'd like to begin our interview because to me, our interview is really just a heart to heart conversation that hopefully will bring something of value to the not only listeners, but when they listen, they also participate. So I just want to light this smudge and ask that anybody that's listening, that's participating with us, would now imagine yourself smelling this smudge. Maybe you'll even light some of your own if you have some.
I actually do.
Yeah. And I invite people to do that. And I've had people say that they could actually smell my smudge. So either way, it comes through the ethers. And my teachers, my wisdom teachers and native teachers taught me that when you burn the sage, that it goes into the invisible world and that people can smell it all around on the other side of the world manifesting because it goes into the ethers. And that the great spirit, the great mystery, God, Goddess, however you refer to that, the one, the many, that it goes to the nostrils, if you will, of the great mystery and gets its attention to hear our prayers. So at this moment, we release everything and anything in our fields that would keep us from being fully here. I'm just going to use some of my feathers here to send some of this out to all of you. And that we call in, once we release, we call in all things that we find dear, that we trust, that we believe, that we know supports us. So with that, we've gotten their attention now, and so we're willing to release some of the things and blockages that are keeping us from hearing you or feeling you or sensing you guiding and support us, whatever that means to you. And we have now called in all the helpers that we need for the day, for the moment. And if you need to do that at any time throughout the day, repeat. Okay? You can always repeat that anytime you need to. It only takes a few moments. It doesn't have to be an elaborate ceremony, although you can do hours of that kind of ceremony. Just a couple of minutes of that creates kind of, for me, because I've done it so many times, an entrainment inside of my whole being that I just am different. Change the molecules.
Mhm. Isn't it amazing? So first of all, thank you. I felt the shift, and I all of a sudden felt how supported we are.
Yeah, we are. We are so loved. We are so loved and supportive. And it's important to feel our sovereignty, but it's also very equally as important to feel our interdependence on everything.
Ooh, can you speak more to that? Because that just gave me such delicious chills.
Well, I know that sovereignty is a really big word right now, and I really get it because I have had to work hard being who I am and being around this year 70 years on the globe.
Wow.
Okay. I get it, what it means to step out and be sovereign, especially in areas that you're not supposed to be, or that are taboo, or that are misunderstood, or that women shouldn't do, or whatever, or women of a certain age shouldn't do, or whatever, all those kinds of things. And at the same time, I think back to Grandmother Twyla Nitch, my Seneca Wolf Clan grandmother. It's hard to say adopted because it felt that we were kindred spirits all the way through. But she used to say to me, because she was very independent too, we were both Sages, and she used to say to me, Star Wolf, we are so dependent and interdependent on everything. We're dependent upon the air, the water, the earth, the fire, the sky, the moon, the orbits of all the planets. We're dependent on over 100 trillion cells within our bodies to get the job right. We're dependent upon the person who delivers the bread to the store, or if you grow your own food, the seeds, or the plants, are on and on and on and on. We are interdependent. We're all in this together. We were never meant to do it alone. And one of my favorite sayings she would say is, if we were meant to be doing it alone, Great Spirit, Great Mystery would have only made one of us.
This is so beautiful that you just said that, because in my work, I understand that every single one of us exists for a reason, a unique purpose why we are here. And I say it in so many different ways. And the way you just said that it lands perfectly on the reason why we all need to stand up right now and own our sovereignty, our gifts, the frequency that we each are here to bring in right now.
And that was another piece she said. And even though we're interdependent upon each other and we need the gifts, we have needs, not just wants, we have needs. We need the gifts that others have to bring. We need people to keep the internet going. We need to, I'm like, why isn't it working? Technology, we need that, but at the same time, there's also this beautiful energy of that we really are all one. And if we could imagine the 100 trillion cells in our bodies not being in competition for one another, but working specifically for their specified sacred purpose, not in competition with each other, right? And doing what they need to do until their time is done, and then making way for the new that comes in as they're leaving. And that, the cells are showing us exactly what needs to happen. And then we talk about the imaginal cells that we live in, like the caterpillar does within its cocoon, that we live in a field in the multidimensional world of imaginal cells that are imagining us, just like the caterpillar imagines the butterfly, and that we are imagining ourselves together into a new world right this moment. Everything that's getting ready to happen is in the collective imagination right this moment. And the moment that the collective imagination changes, that's the moment the outer world changes. So if we don't like what we see, if we don't like what we're experiencing, it's not just magical thinking, although I love magic. True magical thinking is to imagine what really is possible and then get about the work of making it happen.
Oh, that's amazing. So let me ask you more about ceremony, because I love your passion for it. And I love the word ceremony. Every salon begins with an opening ceremony and ends with a closing ceremony. There is something so powerful to me about those bookends, those sacred bookends of an experience. Can you speak more to that? Especially and let me just add this, especially right now.
Especially, well, you're a gal after my own heart, because I frequently go, blah, blah, blah. And especially right now, and that's true. There was a book many years ago that was very, very popular, The Power of Now, and that's all we have, because it's all we have.
Yeah.
That's it. We don't know if we'll have the next breath. We don't know. We go on faith that we will, if we're supposed to. But all we ever have is now, because there really is not a past or a future. We have the eternal present moment. The Hindus, the Buddhists, and even, Christianity, and of course the ancient goddess religions, all the spiritual paths teach that in this moment is where the magic is. In this moment is where the power is, because this is where we think, this is where we feel, and from those thoughts and those feelings is what we create. And we create that with what? Our energy in this moment, every moment. You can think it's a lot of other things, but people only create from what they think and what they feel and what they put action into around that. And if they think strongly and feel strongly about something, it will come to pass. The impossible becomes possible all the time. Everything that's on this planet was impossible at some point in most of the world's imagination. Imagine the cavemen or cave women or the early peoples. To many of those, none of this, what we're doing, would have been possible.
Yeah.
And I have to give a little disclaimer. I do believe there have been civilizations before ours that were very advanced and that were creating, and it comes in cycles.
Yeah. So great that you said that, because
our evolution hasn't necessarily reached the stages that some of the evolutions have reached, I think, but we're doing the best we can right now.
I love it.
We could do better. We can do better.
Great. Okay, perfect. See, I love how this is flowing. We can do better. What's our role in that?
I'm sorry, what?
What is our role in that? We can do better.
Well, to me, for one thing, I think we have to come back to magic, and what I mean by magic, I'm talking about practical magic. We have to come back to awe, AWE. We have to come back to wonder, and to the sense of joy and the sense of what it is we can create, and that those seeds of faith and hope that we have within us. And sometimes we lose that because life on this planet was not meant, I don't think, to initially at least be easy. That we've come to a shamanic planet. If we wanted a planet that was easy, we took a detour. We took the wrong turn. We came here to grow. We came here to grow. And just like the seed underneath the earth, that's a struggle. That's a struggle. I've lifted up a rock before and seen a little plant land there, like, and then all of a sudden it grows, So we're here, and it's like we're on Earth. We're in a dense planet. It's beautiful, but there's decay and death here. And let's face it, there's a lot of sacred fertilizer here, known as holy fertilizer, right? Okay. And that is what makes everything grow. Everything here on Earth grows from decay and death and holy fertilizer, right? That's the type of planet this is. We came here, I believe, and Grandmother Twyla used to say this to some of the rest of my teachers, to get a PhD, all right? A PhD in shamanic psycho-spiritual consciousness. We came here to learn what it means to die. The Christ taught us that. Inanna taught us that. We came here, all the goddesses have gone into the underworld, Persephone, we came here to learn to go all the way down into the density of matter and decay, and to go into that rich fertilizer of earth, into the very nutrients of the earth, and to be reborn and to be fragile and helpless, completely helpless and dependent. And from that complete place of helplessness and dependence, to rise up and to come into our fullness and to blossom and to seed the world, perhaps with like the think of the sunflower with hundreds of seeds, you know, or the pollen, you know, that the bees take to create all the beauty and the fertilizer. We are the pollinators, you know, but diving into the depths of that and then rising to the heights. I remember again, I keep repeating, I don't always do this, but Grandmother Twyla, I must feel her a lot with me today. She's on the other side, of course, but still, in that she said so many experiences throughout the cosmos, and yet people line up with lottery tickets to come here. The souls line up to come here because this is one of the few places in the universe where you can experience the extremes so extremely. And this is where souls grow quickly. They have to in order to evolve. So this is kind of like, if you know, if you want to learn, if you want a PhD in learning how to love yourself no matter what, and to grow and to love others unconditionally, or to at least attempt that, this is your home planet to come to.
This is so amazing, Star Wolf. So as you were sharing, what came up for me is I'm in a space right now where I'm intentionally putting myself in places they are unearthing anything that I still haven't looked at, that I've been sneaky enough to hide from myself. Places I haven't dived to yet in myself. And it is gut-wrenching. It is completely right. And I'm sitting as you sharing this, and I said, wow, that's where we are right now, right? And the more that we are willing, and this is just my experience, I could be wrong, but the more that we are willing to go into the experiences that just rip us wide open, get us into the complete discomfort. I love you speak about Persephone, because I speak about Persephone a lot in my work. Are willing to go into the deepest, darkest places, eat the pomegranate, come back up. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's shadow work, honey. You know, it really is. And there's a lot of talk about that now, you know, and of course, Carl Jung made that term famous. And I started doing shadow work about 40 years ago. And then I actually was in love with and lived with a man who was a leading Jungian analyst. We were together for about 8 years. We're still good friends. He wrote a book called about the shadow, Meeting the Shadow. And it's probably one of the most famous shadow books that's out there. And at the time, I was just really beginning to know what the shadow was about. And you know, we laugh about it now, but we really played the shadow out with each other, you know, and I'm with the shadow master and we're playing this out, you know, and I was like, boy, did I really have to go to the shadow that deeply, you know, but sometimes that's how we do it. And we go like, what am I doing? You know, but we laugh about it now. But the shadow work is so important. And quite frankly, to me, one of the greatest pieces of shadow work is into our family of origin. Of this origin, you know, there's the family of origin from the stars, from the cosmos, right? But then there's the ones that we choose, I believe. And I know some people don't want to hear that. I even heard someone someone said the other day on Facebook something about that, saying that choosing your family was spiritual bypass. And I thought, what is spiritual bypass about that? It's actually saying maybe I'm not that smart that I, you know, sometimes it's like, I don't see any spiritual bypass on that. And what each to his own belief, that's okay. But I absolutely have a very strong sense of karma, and that we play out things with different people over and over, that we've agreed to do it as a soul family from the other side. You know, on the other side, there's no victims and perpetrators, but we come here and we put ourselves into situations, we test ourselves. You know, some people go into a sweat lodge, some people choose a difficult childhood, you know, and so it's really not, to me, not different. It's really not. And when we can get to do the inner work, this is what really separates, to me, the true, what I would call people playing at spirituality and embodiment of shamanic consciousness, and people who are really embodying it, is really, you know, I have my feathers and my crystals and my Sekhmet and my wolf and my Egypt necklace. I love all that, but that isn't what makes me shamanic. Those are
Right.
accoutrements. Those are my taste. What makes me shamanic is my willingness to face my stuff and to do my inner work. And, I'm doing inner child work right now. My 90-year-old mama is here with me. She cracked her hip. I love her, but I'm an only child and we've been at it for 90. Well, I haven't been at it for 90 years. I've been at it for 70 years.
Long
And,
enough.
and I'm doing another piece of shadow work with her right now as she begins to have dementia and this struggle and all of this and finding myself loving her more and appreciating her more and having to bite my tongue more and practice more patience. It doesn't end. What comes after enlightenment? Chop wood and carry water.
Right.
And just because we're enlightened to one thing, there's endless things we're unenlightened to. It's just like the cell, those 100 trillion cells in our body. They don't quit. They keep regenerating and their offspring keeps learning. And so the offspring of our consciousness, of last year's consciousness, that's birthed this consciousness, is ready to continue. So I just say that in the shamanic work that I do, which is I've been doing my sacred purpose in the world this year, March 21st will be 40 years. And I was even doing it before then, but I wasn't as conscious. I was all wrapped up in codependency and addiction, even while I was doing it, and as a mental health worker. But consciously, I've been sober for 40 years, March 21st this year, from substances and from other addictions. And at that point, I made a commitment to face the truth no matter what. And that's when I really found the shamanic path. That's when I found shamanic breathwork and dedicated myself and learned very quickly on that path that it was a daily practice for the rest of my life. And a beautiful daily practice, not a drudgery, And so grateful, so very grateful.
How has this become? Because now I want to shift a little because our conversation. I love when right before we clicked the record, you said, "Oh, I want to save it for the recording." So here we go. Thriving is part of the conversation, right? And thriving means thriving, right? And we're living in a right. And we're living in a physical space, and money and thriving in a physical space is part of the conversation that I'm really consciously bringing in to the space of spirituality and ascension, while also being taken care of on a physical plane. So, and you married both so beautifully, right? Because you're doing your sacred work while thriving.
Yes.
What's your secret?
Absolutely. Well, gosh, I wish I knew what the secret was, but I'll share what I will tell you is that I think the secret was that I became unwilling to settle for less. Truly. I remember one day waking up and going out, and I took a drive and I went past, and I needed to make some changes. I really wasn't happy with the job that I was in. I had felt to relate this marriage that I had that I'd gotten married young, and we're still good friends today after all these years. We were married for 20 years, from 20 to 40. But I was driving down the road and I thought, I need to change. And how am I going to do this? I'm going to disrupt my life and everybody else's lives around me. And, and I was making it. I mean, bills were being paid, and, I wasn't miserable, and all those kinds of things. I was already doing counseling, and as an addiction therapist and all those kinds of things. But it was like, there's something missing. I'm not in my fullness. I'm not all that I could be. Is this selfish of me? Is this self-centered? Is this not enough? And it was like, it's not. I was sick a lot. I had allergies a lot, because, when you're repressing yourself and you're not, and I'm not just saying satisfying your every whim and being selfish, but when you're just repressing your soul's urge, so often illness and depression and mental issues and addictions will come in, because it's trying to hold you back, and you're trying to hold you back, and you're ready to erupt into your fullness. And the only way you can do that is to shut that down and dampen it down in some way. And so I drove down the road and I saw this homeless person underneath a railroad trestle, and he had his little fire there, and he was eating, he was doing whatever. And it was a very beautiful scene in front of him, cows and chickens and stuff out in this field. And, he looked kind of happy. And I thought, I would rather do that.
Mhm.
Okay, than to continue doing what I'm doing. That's the worst that can happen to me.
Wow.
Is that as I can wind up underneath there? That's the worst, and I'll still get to eat. And I saw a sign on the church, and it said daily lunch for the homeless. And I thought I could eat every day. I could have a fire. I'd be with chickens and animals. That's the worst that's going to happen to me if I quit my job, leave my marriage, and follow my path. As I started following that path, it was completely the opposite of living under that. From the moment, this is the truth, my honest truth, from the moment I said yes to doing my path, which was sharing the thing that had healed me the most, which was breath work. Okay. It wasn't the counseling, it wasn't the addiction. That was all part of it. That came with it. But it was teaching people to go inside, breathe, and begin to release things, and to do it not with years of therapy, but within several sessions, finding their freedom and ongoing. In fact, right now I need to do a breath work. I've been through a lot recently. As soon as I get my mom in a safe place a little bit more, I have a session scheduled for myself to sit down and to have my partner breathe me. But anyway, the point of this is that the minute I went into this, my world opened, and it's not stopped. It went like this, and then like this, and like this. And yes, there were deaths all along the way. And yes, there were shamanic deaths all along the way. With every new opening to the next level, I never, at the time, I was a small town, from a small town girl, this and that. My 12th book is coming out this year. I didn't think I was smart enough to write a book.
Wow.
That's what, that's where I came from, So, to find the courage to do the impossible is really what it's all about. And that really involves this willingness to let an ego death happen repeatedly. It really involves circling, not spiraling. I mean, spiraling, not circling, because circle just chases its tail, but spiraling back around, but at a greater view, perhaps at the things you've already looked at before, and saying, what else? And after a while, it's kind of like, okay, going in, got some shadow work to do. Set a day and time, go in, do it, process it, bring it up, bring it out, and then work with it like clay. And it doesn't mean that you don't keep on doing what you're doing and being authentic about it. I will say this because you brought this up, and it's very important. Money is an illusion. It doesn't really exist. I have a woman who's a friend of mine who's a top banker. She said, there's no money in the banks anymore. There's nothing there. You go, there's nothing there. They used to have gold, and there's no money in the banks. Money is an illusion in our heads. Okay. Our sweat equity, what we put our energy and our life into, will create the abundance that we need in our lives. And I have absolutely lived in a healthy relationship with abundance, especially the last 20 years of my life. And I've been able to create, I've been able to support others. That's one of the greatest joys, is to support others. We've been able to give scholarships, partial scholarships to our programs. We've been able to create temples on our land. It's endless what we've been able to do.
Wow, beautiful. I can sense your connection to the abundance. And one of the things that I stand for is that all of us who do sacred work actually cleanse the energy of money in the world, because it is a resource. I don't believe, someday it will go away. I don't believe it's tomorrow. So we cleanse it as a resource back into the world as something that's a tool for us to create more. And it's what I'm hearing you illustrate so beautifully.
Well, money itself, what is money? Money's been different things in time. It's been rice, it's been beans, it's been sheep, it's been a cow, it's been eggs. It's when people were trading, money was beautiful jewels and coins and all those kinds of things. And, and now it's digital on computers, and shifting it from credit cards and those kinds of things. So, we've kind of lost touch with the sacredness of money. And there's a sacredness to money. Money represents your sweat equity. It's supposed to be symbolic. So it's supposed to be something very sacred. It's supposed money, which means that I can purchase food for my family. I can build my home. I can, give money to this organization to support that I, support, whatever. It's supposed to be one of the most sacred things in the world that represents my energy, my life force energy that I have expended and created this exchange for that so that I can feed myself, my family in all kinds of ways, and my bigger family in the world.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so beautiful, Star Wolf. Thank you for that. That just felt delicious. It felt abundant. It felt expansive. Amazing.
So why wouldn't we all want to have a ton of that?
Right?
And say, look at all my sweat equity, and my passion. Sweat is your, dance your prayers. Look at my sweat equity that I've put my whole body, mind, heart, and spirit into. And look at the equity that I have created so that I can use this abundance in such good ways. Why would we want the abundance to be in somebody's field that wasn't going to use it in that way?
Mm-hmm.
What's the use of being the richest man or richest woman on the planet when you're not using it to help the climate, when you're not using it to help the children or the animals or the forest? Why? There's no wealth in that. There's no wealth in that equity, as far as I'm concerned. It's soulless.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. Thank you. Thank you for bringing your passion. What a beautiful place. Oh, so I'm inviting you right now, replay. Well, the whole thing was amazing, but the last few minutes, the passion you just brought into the stand for who we get to be and how much we get to honor our sweat equity. I love that. Sweat equity, which to me is like the frequency that we are flowing into the world through our body and putting it into whatever it is we are creating. So good. Star Wolf, I could talk to you for hours. And our time, so amazing. Our time in the salon is coming to the end. I know you have a gift for our viewers to be able to connect with you. Could you tell us what it is?
Yes, well, I had several things that I wanted to give, but I think the thing that, since we had this conversation, I'd really like to see Inanna's journey. Inanna's journey. And it's a journey that I created because in that journey, it talks about going all the way down to the very bottom, just what I was talking about. She's hung on the meat hooks, we've all hang on the meat hooks sometimes, and everything is gone. And then she comes all the way back and rises up. And of course, Inanna in the Sumerian myth, who she really is she's the beautiful, beautiful planet Venus, the goddess Venus. And I love that journey so much because we're in that journey all the time, and all the cells in our bodies are in it all the time. So I'm going to give that journey to the people, the Inanna's journey.
Thank you for flowing with what's happening in the conversation and giving us something that is so appropriate for the conversation that we just created for our viewers. So you know how to claim the gift. There is a golden button below the video. Click it, claim the gift, go on the journey. I cannot wait to go on the journey. Get into the beautiful, magical world of Star Wolf. Oh, so delicious. I have a parting question for you. What is your vision for the world that we are creating?
My vision for the world is that we would all breathe. That's been my vision for 40 years, is that we would breathe and open our hearts, because as soon as we open our hearts, then we will open our minds. And when we open our minds, what we can imagine is infinite. Infinite. And it's infinitely better than where we are right now. And yet this is a crucial time, and it's an important time. There's nothing wrong with this time, but we're here to create truly a new era, a new age for all.
And so it is. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I am so grateful for you being here in the salon. Make sure you claim the gift golden button below the video, and we'll see you at the next conversation. Bye for now.